break it down. NRG Shock going up against Citrus Nation. Now, of course, Citrus Nation, they just had to play all the way through a 5-map series, whereas NRG Shock also coming off of a loss, but it was a 3-0, so they had some time to, kick back, relax, maybe even take some notes on what was happening in the game between Citrus Nation and Rad Avidity. Who knows? But if I'm looking at this matchup in general, all I want is a Widowmaker battle. I just want to see Chronic and PGE going at it. Put it in my veins.
You saw that in the break. You said all you wanted is
this is all I want. Literally couldn't care less about anyone else.
I mean, Widow's not terrible this meta. Depending on the map, it could be big. I feel like Tree, though, is going to be such a huge threat in this game. Tree has been such a standout for me. Kellen and Attack as well, coming together in the tank roster, looking super solid. And Ultraviolet, I think we really want to highlight how impressive he is as an individual player. I think he's probably second best flex sport in NA behind RuPaul right now, like vying for first, wants to get that win and secure the title for himself. Just an incredibly mechanically skilled player who can bring out the Zen when necessary. But Tree, Genji, Pharah, Echo, Tracer, Widow, Sojourn, every single freaking hero in the game, I like Tree on it.
That's right. Well, there's a lot to like in the Citrus Nation squad as well. We've actually highlighted their backline throughout all of Stage 3, which, they really stood out to us. How does the rest stack up against this NRG Shock roster?
Well, Citrus Nation, back to Citrus Nation after being Citrus Nightmare for quite some time. They were one of the teams that really excelled on Orisa, specifically dating back to Stage 2. That's when we saw Seb pop off on the Orisa here. But that was back when Lethal was on the team as well. And Lethal was obviously pivotal for this team. Now you've changed up the back line, or the damage line here a little bit. So Chronic is going to fill Lethal's spot here instead, coming over from Pirates in Pajamas, I like to believe. And Tap is obviously going to contribute here on the Tracer as well. But we did see that Kaffa was in the lineup, and Kaffa has been the go-to Winston player for this team. Obviously a really good Winston player, but that gives you the idea that we're going to head into a Winston map coming up.
Well, we'll find out very soon. But first, we want to take a look at our Preds here to see where we're going with this. I have to give the edge to NRG Shock. I think they are pretty much a clear favorite heading into this. I think there's a lot of potential, of course, for Citrus Nation to, grab a map. Maybe even 2. I want this to be a close one, but I do think NRG Shock, even though it was a 3-0 against Toronto Defiant earlier today, they did look very competitive. And to make anything look competitive against a team such as Toronto Defiant, that takes a certain roster.
Yeah, I think NRG are the clear favorites for me. We flip-flopped you to Citrus, but this is not true.
This is a lie.
I actually think NRG 3-0 is my friend. There we go.
NRG social media manager, don't you dare.
Yeah, that's getting clipped. My face is going to be all over that.
No.
You're welcome for the content.
You're just playing both sides.
I just think NRG is such a strong team. I think Tree is going to have a field day, especially if Citrus keep playing this no-break style. I think that's what opens the floodgates really for Tree to just have a huge game and really come alive.
Yeah, I mean, that rally, it pushes back, especially if you're going to pull out the Genji or something like that. The rally is huge in this meta for frontline pressure, especially. So, given that Citrus Nation, they play more Kiriko Juno, it's going to be something different, but it's going to be something that NRG can handle. So I went with 3-1 in this one.
Well, let's take a look at what our community thinks about this one. All right, yeah, I mean, that's to be expected, honestly. But again, Citrus Nation, a lot of great pieces, a lot of fantastic individuals. They've surprised us before. Can they do it again? Maybe not. We'll find out very soon as we're getting ready for this first elimination match. Backs against the wall. This is all or nothing for these teams. We're going to send it over to a fellow Widowmaker 1v1 enjoyer, Joss.
Yes,
Lemon.
Widow.
Let's bring
Please.
it. Do it.
I don't think we're going to see it, sadly. I mean, Doom, they could maybe play it. Doom didn't tempt, but maybe we'll have to wait for just a moment. I mean, the only place that you could realistically play on a control map would be, Ruins? But dive, it looks like for Citrus here.
Yeah, if only PG and Chronic were in. Well, we'll see where we end up. But just to set the stage, this is the lower bracket. Both these teams coming off of pretty harsh losses. NRG getting swept by their biggest rival, but at least having a better showing there. And Citrus Nation, who lost against Rad Avidity. We just covered that game 5. But it was also a crushing loss because Citrus were up in the series 2-1, just right there until not being able to close out and being in this position. So it's about how you can kind of take that loss and still be able to peak in the next game. It's not really who you lose to, but just how you're able to lose in general.
Yeah, I mean, look, NRG, I think a lot of people in the audience too, 79% voting them through the analysts also with a 3-1, 3-1, and 3-0 for the team. We'll have to wait and see if that does end up panning out. NRG Shock very much the favorites in this series, and being an elimination too, not exactly where you want to find yourself after round number 1. But you best believe Citrus Nation, they got fire in their bellies after that 5-mapper.
Yeah, and the last time these two teams faced was in the Face It League back in June, where NRG swept the former banner called Citrus Nightmare. Both rosters looked a little different. You know, Infected was in for NRG. Citrus had Lethal at the time, and NRG, I mean, this has been the roster to get them a lot of victories, and they have Kellen on the ball. Kuffa's in for the Winston, as the desk pointed out, but how are we going to see Tab go to the Tracer against Tree? That is a matchup that I think is going to be pretty even.
Oh, I love this backline as well. They're doing it again. They're going to roll out with the Zen and the Brig. NRG Shock, very comfortable in what they want to play on this map. And I love it, honestly. Like I mentioned in the Toronto Defiant game, you don't need that much support as the ball. You don't need that much support as the Tracer either. You're quite self-reliant, but here comes the pain. Pure dive for Citrus Nation. There's no Juno insight. It is just go, go, go with Lucio.
And this is the exact same comp and honestly map 1 that NRG played against Toronto, and they're running back the same strat. The difference is they're facing a Winston team that can close the gap against NRG's backline a lot quicker than the Orisa comp that Toronto did. So we'll see if NRG will be able to spot Kuffa, discord him, and deal with him promptly before he dives someone like Ultraviolet or Rack.
Looks like Tree was pressuring the objective there just a little bit, making Citrus Nation think twice about staying where they are right now. That bubble actually stopping that slam doing anything, which is kind of annoying for Kellen. Now it's his chance to get to the points. Lucamino going down 2 to PG. Swapped off the Widowmaker. A bit more defensive now on the Casti. Can help Ultraviolet succeed in this fight as well. Tap falls to the swinging Wrecking Ball, and that is going to be the fight over with pretty quickly. NRG Shock dismantling Citrus Nation. Ooh, good headshot.
Yeah, even with the Lucio from Citrus, like, they're just going to be go, go, go. But Kellen, if you can have the right pile drive, that could be a great setup for someone like PGE, who's now on the Cassidy, something that can be more involved in the fight and deal with the divers, especially of Doomed, who's just going to be on him all the time. Now, the Dragon Blade, I think, is going to be the turning point for Citrus, depending on how they set that up, or even just initiate with the Kitsune Rush and see what this gets.
That rush was so fast. You see Kellen was just trying to get back to the rest of his team, but unfortunately, Citrus Nation were a little bit quicker. Mines end up layering over the point. Tap is having a bit of a tough time actually getting to the rest of his squad, all those mines being quite annoying to deal with. NRG Shock going to be able to stall for quite some time. However, the amount of damage that you can put onto Kellen isn't that great when you don't have your Tracer or your Genji Perma looking at that Wrecking Ball. So NRG Shock are going to be able to come back into this one without even losing the points. Riley deploy from Rack Attack, 50 HP though, and that's about it. So all he can really ask for is this Zen Orb to keep him alive. Kuffa escorting him all the way back to spawn. So Ultraviolet now left on an island. Citrus Nation using that sound barrier to help secure the point, but now NRG Shock can springboard back into this one with the Transcendence.
There's the Dragon Blade Transcendence, easy, and Doomed would have loved to use that earlier, but he got killed in the middle of the fight. They started with the Kitsune Rush, and then Doomed died, so they didn't have that layered offense. Citrus forced to use Primal and Barrier just to sustain, and look how much that bought them. What, like 10%? Citrus not very economical, and now NRG's in the driver's seat.
Yeah, I mean, Doomed, you know you're going up against that Transcendence, but it's a sad sight. As soon as UV pops that, and then you can't do anything. You're basically a non-factor in the fight. Citrus Nation switching up those comp though. They're going towards the Queen instead. UV also off of the Zen, recognizing how much pressure he was under, over to the Juno. A lot more survivability, same with Rack as well, of course, on the Brig. So it's going to be a harder backline to dive now.
Maybe something that can support Doomed with the shout, but yeah, if you can mess up Kellen's grapple, that could be key, but still hard to kill a Hammond with what Citrus are running. It's going to be kill everything around Kellen, then worry about Kellen.
From Tree though, takes down Kuffa. Another return suit there from Tap. Here comes OT. NRG Shock still in control of this point, remember. And Kellen with the mines. A lot of damage on the side of Citrus Nation, but they've got to keep Doomed alive. 1 HP, dashes all the way back. Unfortunately for Tree, they didn't have any bullets left in the clip. Lucamino does end up exploding on the mines, though, as Cullen keeps the point alive for NRG. Shock. Rush comes in to try and settle the score now, but NRG just going to LOS this for as long as possible. And Citrus Nation, of course, still dealing with the mines on the point. They haven't faded just yet. Eventually, they do, you know, get off of the point, but Cuppa and the rest of the gang is still struggling to actually find kills. Rally deployed as well from NRG. Shock and Rakatak, a one-man rail boss on the point now. Saying a +10 mythic dungeon. This is a +2 by the looks of it. NRG Shock unable to take this guy down. Rakatak eventually getting antied, but booping the Cuppa away. He can't get him. He just can't kill him. What is this? Nice little boot there, and Rakatak ends up just chasing Cuppa away. That was unbelievable. Rakatak survived not only a rampage, but a carnage as well. And that'll be NRG Shock, sealing that round out 100 to 59%.
And a scrappy battlefield is where Citrus Nation thrive, but the issue with this initial dive is that they didn't have a good target to lock down. You have Kellen, who's going to be all over the place on Hammond. You got Tree on the Tracer. You got a Juno break backline, which isn't fun. The only person they could go after was PGE and then swap to the Cassidy. It's still not as fun. Citrus just had so many different goals. Then they swapped to a Junker Queen, which you thought you could be able to pull Kellen. Again, the knife is still not an easy thing to hit on anyone except Kellen, and Citrus just didn't have a good win condition with how swifty NRG were.
All right, round 2. Doomed on the Echo now versus PG on the Ash. Same backlines though. Honest, Anna Brig.
Now going back to the whole reason why you brought Cuppa in this. So being able to get vision on the Ana and diving her first, a lot of pressure on Rakatak and Lucamino to be the babysitter for the Ana, while Doomed on the Echo. This is a good tank buster, and with the focusing beam, almost got that kill on Rak.
Doom pretty low though. The try shot to the face. Tree ends up playing a little bit more safe there. Doesn't want to get one shot by Doom. All right, Citrus Nation. At this point unlocking, they're going to put tap on it, but Tree's going to be there to match. Ultraviolet not under too much duress right now. It's actually PGE, but after a quick nade and a couple of shots from UV, he's back up to a full HP. Even jumps to the high ground, also dealing with Cuppa. NRG Shock just kind of rolling Citrus Nations in the neutral.
Yeah, Cuppa's job is going to be to collapse on PGE, but how do you do that? I mean, you saw the impact of what an Ana can do. The antis, it's a burst of heal, you got the sleep, you got flails. Like, this is a lot for the supports to handle, but if they can peel for themselves, they can dwindle this Winston down below his armor. Cuppa and Kellen are going to be toast. So NRG will have the cap first, which means Tree can roam with this pulse.
That nade was so sick from UV. Surely they don't make it out alive. Especially with the nano Kellen on your face. Yeah, there's absolutely no way. I mean, Kellen's fine to fall there. He's already done enough damage. Both supports there for Citrus Nation after a very strong nade from UV.
And yeah, just the Nano's always a good win condition, but guess who has Nano next? It's neutral. A whole lot of ults for Citrus, but if they don't win this, it's looking more and more chalked. And look at where Cuppa is hidden with Doom, seeing if they can get that burst of damage with these sticky nades, but NRG just went past them.
Nice way to take the high ground there. And set up with the Ash, little duplication from Doomed, but unfortunately, Kellen was there to match him. Same with PG, takes him straight out of the copy. Rally ends up coming in to match this Cuppa Primal Rage. He's not going to be able to insta-kill anybody here, especially this Tracer. Although I say that, almost managed to slip in a kill. It's actually Tap that ends up picking that one up. Lucamino now popping the rally, but has been antied, but is all Cuppa right now. You can see NRG and Citrus Nation swapping sides there briefly. Ultraviolet and Rakatak thought they'd take the fight to Lucamino and neutral, but it was the team with the better support ultimates there that ended up winning it out. The Nano and the Rally, easy enough for a team fight win. Staggering Kellen somewhat there, but NRG Shock still happy with 70%.
I think Tap did a great job of not only winning the duel against Tree, but also flipping the point in the midst of that, so benefiting from how extended that fight was. Maybe a bit over-investing with the Nano rally from Citrus' side so late into that fight when it felt pretty decided, so gotta be really confident and not waste those ults, especially with how much work Citrus have ahead of them.
Oh, what else do Citrus Nation have? I mean, it's only this pulse bomb, and PG has got that bomb. Plants it on pot. Oh. Okay. Bob went off the point. I don't think PG expected it to just run straight off, but hey, there you go. Distraction tactic, I suppose. Good coach gun usage too. Stops Doomed using that shift to get away. Rest in peace, Bob, but
not the
it's
first
all good.
time.
NRG Shock have control of the point, and they're pressuring the spot.
Yeah, not the first time that Ashes throw the Bob down the middle doorway on the point, thinking it's going to be there to contest and maybe deal with a Tracer that's trying to flip, and it just goes off the map. That's where the Bob likes to thrive, I guess.
Oh, touch.
6 feet underground.
They do manage to get a touch here, and Tap is available again for another one. Hasn't got a recall, though, which is a bit of a problem. And yeah, Lucamino and Tap are just going to get taken out. I mean, that's just round over. Primal Rage and Winston sent to sleep. NRG Shock with a 2-0 to start off the series against Citrus Nation.
Yeah, it's cool to see Doomed in the lineup for Citrus. You don't get to see him too often, but the Echo looked muted, just not being able to deal with those supports. And it's not really Doomed's fault. It's just how good Rack Attack and Ultraviolet are. Just some of the best supports that we have out there. Really great anti-grenades just on themselves. The flails to keep Doomed away. Like, NRG's backline is something you can't easily dive, and Citrus are finding that out the hard way.
Yeah, I think Ultraviolet was just getting more value there on the Ana too. Just the nades were just hitting way stronger, and like when you got Kellen backing you up with the Nano as well, it's a pretty easy affair. Look, NRG Shock, they were the favorites coming into this series, and I think a lot of people expecting them to just kind of roll through this lower bracket now. Toronto is always going to be a tough opponent in that first round, but NRG Shock, they've been number 2 in NA for quite some time, and I think people are still pretty happy with that placing, at least currently. We'll see if Citrus Nation can give them a run for their money. Maybe we see Chronic come in to maybe put PG up to a test. We'll have to wait and see.
I think Citrus can easily just pick Gibraltar. That's one of their strongest maps, and they, I mean, literally just full held Rad Avidity, and they could keep Cuff in the lineup, and they can just keep going for that. But we got to go through the highlights of this match first, where we got to see the Zen Brig Ruins comp from NRG, and how, well, with a quick enough dive, this can cause a lot of trouble. But what NRG was so good at was dealing with the win conditions from Citrus, like shutting down Doom's blade at points, or making it hard for him to really deliver on those key executions.
Yeah, I really like this Zen Brig comp, I really do. It was a quick swap, comp swap coming through from Citrus Nation as well. Ended up going to the Queen, did prompt also Ultraviolet to kind of switch. And knowing that they're also running like hard dive on you, even with the Winston, like, yeah, you want to get off that Zen like real fast. They end up losing that first fight, of course, because they just got crunched. If you're expecting, you know, hey, Juno and the Brig, like maybe we can handle that a little bit more, like they want to get Toronto to fight in that first series of the day. Here are the map stats too. NRG Shock, yeah, just coming out on top. No real shock here.
It's just Citrus not being able to finish off those kills and not being proactive enough with the Dragon Blades there from Doomed, and just a lot on Tap again to put up this MVP-like performance as by far Citrus's best player. But you're going up against Trees, Tracer, maybe even Scissors if he gets subbed back in. And I think the Kuffa versus Kellen can be even. Kuffa is a very good Winston for this team, and if we go to Gibraltar, I could see Citrus looking strong.
I've got a good feeling we're going to go there, yeah, especially if Kuffa's going to stay in, like you said. It's a good winner map too. So hey, Zoe and myself might get our wish. Might see a Widow head-to-head. I'm always down. Let's have a look at the map pool. Let's discuss kind of where they can go. Of course, we've already mentioned Watchpoint Gibraltar. But if Kuffa is also staying in, hey, we could even go to a little bit more dive-centric. Esperanza could play a little bit of dive, although Arissa's still pretty strong on that map, to be fair. Blizzard World, another good option if they want to run the Winston too.
Yeah, you're wondering how Citrus are confident in their Orisa play if you wanted to go into any of the push or clash maps to bring Zeb back in to face off against Kellen, or maybe even force Attack to be subbed in. And you just saw how much of a different team NRG look with Attack in the lineup, and just how aggressive and sometimes over-aggressive they can be. That's like really the only pain point out of NRG, is just wanting to go all the time, and how that really bit them in the butt when going up against Toronto. But Citrus, this is a confident map for them. They just full held Rad Avidity. This can bring them maybe some morale after just how the series is going and how their previous.
Do you reckon it can go the opposite way though, where it's like, okay, we just full held, but now what if they get full held by NRG Shock? You're like, oh, ooh, confidence.
Yeah, there's just so much hype behind PGE that if Chronic can diff him in any kind of way on the Widow, there he is, Chronic on the Widow, that will be a lot to like talk smack about if that's even their personality. But if you can diff PGE, that'll be a huge morale boost for Citrus, but also Chronic, who was known for his Widow play back on the ladder, and now he comes into competitive as not only a Widow player, but a hit scan, but one that is still developing and still finding his place in the rankings. So keep an eye on PGE versus Chronic.
Yeah, it's all about the Widowmakers when we go to Watchpoint Gibraltar, and all about the Winstons as well. I'm curious what the backlines are also going to play. We've seen a little bit of Gibraltar in EMEA. There's been some rather interesting comps. I know FD God's been picking up the Lifeweaver here and there, but is it going to just be an Anna Briggs style, or are we going to see a little bit more Juno too? Both have their merits, of course. Juno pretty strong on this map, a little bit more vertical mobility versus like someone like an Anna, but I mean Anna Briggs is just a classic for this one. You need that like high ground control. You sit super far away. You just shoot at people to heal. Like you're chilling. As soon as your Winston takes blue box control and has that high ground, you are vibing. Don't forget as well, obviously, next month we have Stockholm, so go grab your tickets right now. Link is down there, right there. Yeah, make sure you go grab them. And yeah, I think there's a special package too where Johnny leads you around Stockholm. We've been hyping this up for like 6 months, so if he doesn't...
And there's like Swedish milk, maybe?
He's going to get you some Swedish milk as well, I suppose. I'm not sure. Swedish milk,
or whatever interesting drinks.
Yeah, he's...
Yeah, the interesting drinks that Reinforce was talking about.
He's getting his...
he got tickets to the gun show in so many ways.
He's getting his Swedish license taken away from him, I think, after that comment. Hopefully, the Swedish government weren't watching the stream. But yeah, make sure you go pick up your tickets. It's going to be a good time. We even had to put out some additional seating in Dallas as well. So you're not going to want to miss it. It's going to be fantastic. Oh, and of course, you'll see the Korean teams there as well, which is going to be good to see that clash once again. EMEA and NA versus Korea. Watchpoint Gibraltar is the map, though, as we dive in to this second map in this series, Citrus Nation versus NRG Shock.
I'm curious to see the other DPS besides the Widows, because I think Tracer is always viable, but also Genji for a more accessible high ground push. Because the thing is that Widows are going to position for what they're going up against. So if there's a divier team, which we're expecting, they're going to be further and further back. So really take a look at where Chronic is going to set up. He could play at the back end of point A. He could play under the bridge to be sort of subtle. But the safer the position, the less vision that you have. So it's about taking risks, but also balancing that. While as if you can get a Genji going, you can sometimes just climb up really right below the Widow and try to catch her off guard if she's in an accessible area. So Genji's weakness is are you going to be able to gap close? Can you really access that? Not as flexible as a Tracer who can blink all over the place and recall worst case scenario. We'll see what Tree ends up with once he teleports everyone to the bridge.
Okay, Rack Attack, I was thinking maybe you just lift someone up. Little TP for PGE. Bit of a quicker angle take. Oh, blue box. Yeah, you see Chronic wasn't even really set up there at all. Looks like Chronic's going to be in the tunnel now as a very quick kill comes through as Carver just spots out PG with no grab.
So any comms from NRG, like it's the biggest boy on the map. You should be knowing where this Winston is at all times. And PGE doesn't want to tunnel too much on Chronic, and NRG really got to communicate where Kuffa is. If he's on this bridge, PGE is not going to have a fun time.
Such a strong position right now that Chronic is into. Normally you think, oh, Widowmaker, yeah, high ground control for sure, but keeping an angle like this on the payload could be very devastating. Speaking of which, that was a devastating nade. Ultraviolet having to receive a whole lot of heals there from Rack Attack to stay alive in this fight. As PG, once again, is trying to get an angle on somebody. Another good nade. Neutral again, just lighting Kellen and Rack Attack up. A better sleep. Oh, no, flail too. Surely's in the drink. Oh, no, he's not. He tried to jump back up, but he can't. Oh, my. He couldn't quite jump high enough. If he had Primal Rage, Cover makes it out of that one. Oh, that is tragic.
Sleep, dude, neutral is really impactful. First the nade that stopped NRG, and then the sleep on the Kellen. So really good stuff out of Citrus. Chronic now has to head back, knowing that this dive could be anywhere and could be getting closer to him. And NRG really need to have Tree push this cart too, so they can continuously get progress.
Unfortunately, your backline, we're trying to deal with BGE. Rally being deployed from Rack Attack. Oh, Kellen is in just such a nice spot. This Primal Rage, isolating the Brig, isolating Neutral. Pokemon on cover, but receives the Nano in order to survive. But he's just kind of looking at his team just falling around him. Nano boost onto Tree, just dispatches with Lucamino in a blink of an eye. That Payload reaches that first point as well in decent time, 4.5 minutes. No full hold this time around for Citrus Nation.
Expensive though, and this is going to be tough for NRG. This is the most important fight, I think, of the entire map. How you're able to carry momentum to point B, especially against a dive. If the defense sets up and you have to push through choke points, it's not going to be good for NRG. So I like that they're taking forward spawns. PGE maybe needs to get up there with vision, but Kuffa is on him permanently, and PGE may be forced to swap if this is going to be too annoying.
Yeah, nice follow-up onto Kuffa there. Recall, tap. Got a pulse bomb. Kellen dead. Bit of a messy fight so far. Oh, what a stick! Even a bit of headshot from PGE there. Did that sleep here at the same time? Not sure, but that was a nice headshot from PGE. Unfortunately for NRG Shock now, they're going to have to deal with these sites. And of course, without a Winston, you are not going to gain any space.
I'm surprised Citrus even won that fight because they were just staggering in one by one. Like Kuffa's solo diving a Widow who got back up. The whole squad showed up and Citrus just randomly losing people. But NRG, as soon as they saw sights, they gave up. And that's all the space taken back by Citrus to hold the choke. So we'll see how Rak can protect his backline. The flails, the sleeps, important to keep Kuffa at bay.
Kuffa trying to deal with the supports on the high ground. Still got Primal, mind you. Payload's moving for NRG Shock currently. There's a two-man there as well. Surely they know.
NRG have no heals because
they are very aware they use Primal Rage, but Kuffa deciding not to use it just yet. Looking more towards PG, who's grappled away already. A couple of right clicks from the Winston, getting healed up quick, sharp. They are losing players, however, NRG Shock, as Kuffa finally pops that Primal Rage. Should be a fairly easy kill on the Brig, but a good sleep dart there from Ultraviolet will make sure Rak stays alive.
Stagger kill is so unnecessary from Kuffa. Like the Primal, he probably could have just saved it for a second life. But yeah, if he keeps denying the heals out of Kellen by zoning off Ultraviolet Rak, it's going to be good for Citrus. But PGE taking out Neutral is massive.
Good trade. You take that any day of the week there. Nano boost. Perfect spot for Kellen to let it rip as well. Oh, pops the Primal instead. Nade all the way to the door. Oh, of course that connects. Nice stuff. Oh. I love hitting that nade over orange. Feels real good. Chronic also down, and here's the Nano boost. Hard fight to win here if you're Citrus Nation. You're going to get that juice squeezed out of you. Neutral, Lucamino dead. Another nice nade, this time from Ultraviolet, and that will be second point captured for NRG Shock.
See, Kuffa would have loved to have that Primal to try and sustain this, and yeah, NRG just overpowered them. Of course, great nade by Ultraviolet. You're able to get consistent picks on Neutral and Lucamino, whether it's PGE or not.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Just scoping in, hit a hand over the G key or whatever interact key you have bound.
Killing him in spawn would be crazy. I like where Kuffa's sitting though. NRG are going to be forced to pay attention to this. And this gives Kuffa also access to PGE if he wanted to go for a dive. And Neutral having Nano, that's a possibility.
Ultraviolet is unbelievably aggro right now. He is very far up, needs saving. Pulse Bomb connects with the shield. Nano boost onto Lucamino to survive the dive. Yeah, Lucamino is playing the Zen. A Zen on a backline in my Overwatch in 2024? It can't be. Oh, it's not to be anymore. Lucamino and Neutral are dead. Unfortunate. For that Brig, you're a little bit more strong, especially with the Ana. You can walk way far up and you can see exactly how Ultraviolet was basically using Rack Attack as a human shield. That is Tree now just taking care of Tap, and this payload, Lemon, is on the final stretch, and with 2 minutes to go, NRG are in such a good spot.
Is NRG even going to allow you to have space in your base to bring out this Zen? Like, Lucamino's going to roll out still, and this is going to be about trying to Discord Kellen and give Kuffa the edge, but really tough one. Citrus are able to respawn, and it's back to this Kuffa position, but no Nano this time. He's got to force to maybe help deal with Kellen, who's been sort of a better Winston so far.
Oh. PGE, the Dark Lord strikes again. Nice stuff, hitting Lucamino, who's popped the sights as well, so Tap is been revealed to the team. Post-bomb connection from Tree 2, and now PG is pretty free. And they're in the spawn camp. Oh yeah, can't even hide on that little box, unfortunately. There's no Primal Evil for Cuffer here. So NRG Shock can just hold these doors. Transcendence has been popped by Lucamino, just try and buy some space, but a better anti-nade there is going to bring down the Winston. And now Lucamino hasn't really got anywhere to run or hide. Not even the spawn is safe, apparently, not if you're NRG Shock. And there it is, a 53-second time bank. Is NRG looking rather smooth, rather suave, rather demure, honestly, on their push.
God. Well, Citrus did a decent job on point B to take off a lot of time, and I thought Kuffa had some good win conditions. The way he was bubbling Ultraviolet and Rack Attack off from Kellen was a solid start. They were able to win fights off of that, but then PG would get random picks, which would force Kuffa eventually away. Ultraviolet would throw a nade, and NRG would just all in on whoever they would anti-grenade. So if Citrus just let go of their grip on NRG at all, NRG just knew that was their window to strike, and they would strike hard every time. Then you had Citrus sometimes wasting ults. And it's unfortunate to not be able to maximize the value out of things like Primal, Pulse Bomb, etc., or not winning the nano boost fights with neutral. So just NRG are a very efficient team to go up against, and 53 seconds, very respectable time bank, but it's not unbeatable. So we'll see. This is Citrus's best map if they can try to turn this around now.
Is that possible when you have the aura of Ultraviolet on Zen?
Yeah, what the heck?
I love this comp.
Oh, he missed the jump. Bad aura. Minus 9,000.
We're good. We couldn't see it.
Oh, wait, the cat.
The cat.
The cat, though, plus 1,000.
Yes.
I think, doesn't JQ have a cat as well? I'm not sure. Could be trolling. I'm not sure. A lot of cats in the Overwatch universe, thankfully. All right, Chronic, what you got for us? PG versus Chronic yet again on the Widows. NRG Shock with a very aggressive comp, though. The exact same comp they want to run on Ruins. This Ball Tracer with this UV Rack Attack backline on Zen. It's pretty nasty once it gets going, but with PG dead already, not exactly a good start. Now Chronic's super free.
And this is what I talked about, these accessible positions by the Widow for PGE to just be front and center on the most forward platform you could be on. To be diveable by Winston like that, PGE needs to play a lot safer. And Kellen on the Hammond requires a bit more setup and more refined mechanics to get a good pile drive, but it's a lot more punishing if you can land that on someone like Chronic. So Chronic will have to adjust on his part too.
All right, Cover's got control of Blue Box, so in a good spot right now. Citrus Nation. Leap into server, separate the supports. A quick bash away there by Rack Attack. As many cookies as you can cook there for Ultraviolet, but unfortunately 3 is the max for the Brig. So hard to survive with that Zen. Even with just the Winston, it can be quite tough with a bubble. Helen is just doing some infrastructure damage there. PG's in a fairly good spot though. And with Lucamino dead, it's going to be hard for the Arndt to stay up. But like you said, Lemon, setting up with the Wrecking Ball does take a little bit of time. You can see they're just not getting the kills required, even with PG finding that one pick.
Yeah, I could tell NRG are maybe relaxing a little bit on how their dives are being executed, and it's a lot more puggy or deathmatchy compared to what we're used to seeing out of NRG. And it's Chronic versus PGE, Tree versus Tap, and Kellen trying to find his way in the middle of all that.
Oh, what a headshot. Luckily though, got the nano off before he went down, but already sub-art 50% HP there. Cover had to pop the Primal Rage or would fear death. Nano boost deployed, and PG in a whole heap of hurt right now. A little Orber, though, of Harmony is going to save him, at least for the time being. A lot of time bought by PGE, but is it enough? Mines available from Kellen, but he needs to actually get onto the point. It's 3 meters before they end up capping. Lucamino and Neutral are pretty free right now on this Brig and Ana. With Rack Attack with the rally, they have to make it back in time. An anti-nade is going to send Kellen rolling all the way back, and finally the rally has been popped, but it was too late. The payload has been capped. Citrus Nation now rubbing their hands together. No more rally as Cuffer and Tab are going to set up this next dive.
So rough for NRG. As soon as I saw Kellen grapple, I was like, this guy's gonna get off the card, isn't he? And they're investing like rally, they put mines, like NRG thought that was a very holdable position, and then they just forgot about the point. And now Citrus start with a pick, which means they can rally a lot of momentum and maybe save on some time with this point B push.
Jeez, Chronic, okay. Chill headshot there onto PG. This is, I mean, your backline. Dice him with death. There you go. Here's the body shot, makes the call. In comes Tap and Cover to do the rest. Rack Attack and UV end up going down again. Surely at this point too, it does prompt a swap, especially with the positioning that Citrus Nation have. Doesn't look like they're going to go for it though. Confident in the game on the Zen.
Really aggressive, wins to play out of Kuffa, and no one's been able to check him, and to keep the bubble there, and to even turn his head away from the headshots. Chronic is in a forward position on the ship. There's nowhere PGE can peek without Chronic knowing and just having the edge against him in that matchup. So Citrus are about to cap.
Oh, it's awful. No support ultimates there for NRG. Was really their undoing, their demise. As Cover pops the primal, deletes the backline, and 4 minutes now Citrus Nation have to play with, pushing on to third.
This is scary. You said, is that 53 seconds beatable? Well, Citrus are heading that direction. Chronic is diffing PGE, and that's that morale boost. That's that hype that Citrus can keep riding.
Personal bodyguard too. Luca Mino, first class service for the Widowmaker. Oh, good body shot. Oh, the orbs from UV. Jeez, okay. Didn't know you had it like that, UV. Okay, okay, I like it.
Pretty predictable jump from Chronic, though. But yeah, these mines are going to hurt Citrus if they can't get out. And you can't afford to stagger. And woo.
Shot Luca Mino. All right, fight is over with anyway. It doesn't matter. We knew we kind of lost that one. They had the rally, so we're just going to go again with the nano boost and a rally. And sights as well, so Citrus Nation coming in with an arsenal of ultimates for this next one.
Yeah, Chronic just don't go for that obvious jump spot. Ultraviolet PG have that downloaded, but Chronic can't get really good vision on this downhill slope. He'll have vision, and this will just tell him there's no one in his way, and he can round this corner, but Rakitek and, well, the supports of NRG are in this corner. They should have disengaged.
Yeah, Chronic takes the head of a Rakitek there. Transcendence popped from Ultraviolet. It's going to wear out in a couple of seconds, and Ultraviolet's going to find himself in a bit of an odd spot in the backline right now. Tree, unfortunately, just gets bonked on the head. That flail after the rallies popped, just making the Tracer's life a living hell. Kellen is still alive, however, on the, like, kind of in the rafters right now, ready to engage as soon as his team pop out of spawn, but it's proving to be quite a tough affair. A beautiful pulse bomb from Tap, lobbing it onto the back of Rakitek. Means only Ultraviolet's available for the heals, and Lucamino's just going to put this payload in. There's 2 people on point right now, and no one from NRG Shot can actually get out of the spawn.
Where's Kellen? Like, why is Kellen just coming back to the card now when his spawn room doors are being danced on? This is a very uncharacteristic, sloppy NRG. Like, just the most simplest Gibraltar rotations. If you should not be holding that corner as soon as the back corner where Mega is, when Citrus Nation are pushing. This is, and it's a Zenyatta who can't just easily walk away. So NRG are a little bit asleep at the wheel. They must be just very confident that regardless of the time bank, they'll still win. But it is a minute 17 difference, which just could be a difference of a couple fights. And based on how NRG are neglecting the payload, I'd like to see Kellen just go back to the Winston, because this looked a lot more organized with just a forward jump, everyone focus where I jump, instead of this kind of pile drive setup that isn't working for them.
Well, they're on the attack first. They're hovering the Winston, so maybe that is the game plan. See if Chronic can put up the same kind of performances. Just rolling Tree, honestly, on the Tracer, which is a little crazy. Normally you'd think it the other way around, but Chronic's land so many good headshots onto Tree, kind of surprising him out of nowhere.
I hope NRG stick to this, and how are they going to set up PGE, who kind of didn't mark Kuffa as well in their last attack, and obviously you learned from your past mistakes. PGE has been getting diffed by Chronic, and it's all depending on who has a favorable position, of course. That is an important factor to consider, where PGE is not going to have as many fun angles to sit on compared to Chronic.
Nice TP across. I always like that with the sim. Just get your supports on the high ground. See if PG can find Chronic's little head. He can rather aggressively. Thankfully, there's a brick shield in front of him, so not too afraid of Chronic right now, who is currently just looking down Car Wash. Now jumping up to Blue. Good sleep on the Winston.
A lot a good time being wasted. This duel is going to be important between Chronic and PGE. They're going to ignore each other. Good push from Tree on the Tracer to get some meterage. And how are you going to access Chronic? NRG are getting the kills, though.
They are. Tap, Cuffer down. I mean, Chronic was like, I will get a kill. I will. I just need one trade. Honestly, fair enough. You're not going to win the duel against the Winston, so you might as well go for the shot. OT here. We'll see if Cuffer can actually get back in time. Should be able to get at least a touch, but will it be a clean one? They might just want to fight at the doors, to be honest with you. Tap does end up making it back, but Tap has just been perma-dead right now. Looking like J3 out here. It's been rough for him. PG and Tree are just marking Tap to the ends of the earth.
Okay, NRG have woke up and smelt the coffee. They're back to their fundamentals. They're executing. They're taking things front to back and sending Chronic back to where he came from. Oh my God.
All right. The turns have tabled in PG's favor. Cuffer giving a kind of a half-assed like quarter turn there, so he doesn't get headshot. PG only hit the body anyway. Here comes the aggressive peek again. Such a nice spot for the Widowmaker. A good sleep on the Winston's going to wake up in just a moment. At free sights as well from PG. Activated pretty early too, so he has a clean sightline on the enemy Widowmaker, but quickly Cuffer is paying attention to him. Kellen now down as well, as the Nano has been deployed onto Tap to try and just end it here and now. A Nano onto Tree too. And there's no more touches for NRG. Shock. Kellen, unfortunately, kind of getting that ultimate online a little bit too late. The payload will end there, Lemon, but not an unlosable game here for NRG. Only 2 minutes in the time bank for Citrus Nation, and we've seen crazier things on the first point at Gibraltar.
NRG almost wasted a bit of time just doing a 3-2-1 headshot on a Winston you should have known had Primal since he didn't use it. So because PGE was so tunneled on this 3-2-1 kill Cuffa thing, which didn't work out, it allowed Citrus Nation's backline to get on the top bridges and get to a, well, less shootable position by the Widow, because if PGE would have held that sideline, that could have been maybe a pivotal pick on someone like Neutral or Luke Mina, really anyone. And NRG turned their sights away for a second, giving Citrus time to reestablish and get access to someone like PGE, to duel against Tree, to kill Kellen first. So really great job for Citrus to come back on this.
All right, well, you kind of got your wish here as well, Lemon, with the no Zen. Nice movement there by,
oh boy. Yeah.
by Tree. God, that blink is so loud. There's no music, it's just...
Hello.
Okay, that was me. Get back on blue.
King of the hill.
Yeah, actually.
On the box.
Now PG can't get back on!
They can't get back on.
PG can't get back on! Tree, you ruined it. What are you doing? All right, Chronic, can you get best of PG on this first point? Is the real question.
Yeah, they're pinging where Kellen is. Both Widows adjusting against these aggressive Winstons.
Oh, what a shot. Was that under the payload as well? I think it was. Nice.
Yeah.
Good angle for PG.
Limited vision playing under that bridge, but one that you don't expect. So an early edge for NRG because of that pick, and it propelled them to be even more aggressive from there on out.
The Dark Lord has arisen. Tap dead as well to a swift headshot from the Widow. Keep this up. I mean, look, half the time bank's already gone pretty much.
Chronic being denied a lot of good positions because he's just so worried about where PGE is, how close Kellen is, and Kellen's on top of the bridge, and he's gonna dive this backline of Neutral or Chronic very soon, and Citrus need to deal with this.
These nades are so scary from UV. All right, PG eventually slain by Chronic, who is kind of dealing with a Winston and his own problems. Oh, the strafe. Nice counter strafe there from UV. Still ends up taking a headshot, but it takes down Lucamino and doesn't die. Good backup from Rack Attack. Is this devolving into something quite silly? 50 seconds to go as NRG Shock continue their forward hold. It's been tough for Citrus Nation to take this high ground away from them.
Pretty back and forth fight considering both teams just decided to counter dive each other, and it was about who could execute that better. Now Citrus moved their way to the high ground using the vision of Chronic just to see who could be diveable, and Rack gets naded and dove on by Cuffa, and at least he's brought back to his feet, but that was close.
Uh-oh, the sights. Popped. PG now has to back all the way up with a fear. Oh my nade. Okay, nade on Chronic and neutral. That might just do it. Carver does end up taking 2, but Kellen's already found 3. And Nano Boost on to the Brig is going to wear off in just a moment. Lucamino desperately needs this rally, but can't quite get there to pop it. That's unfortunate. And with only 2 seconds to go, that might just be it. Carver does end up getting back on the point in time, and with a Primal Rage, can't stall out for a little bit longer, but Lucamino needs to spawn and get back. However, with the Ultraviolet Nano Boost, it's going to be hard for him to really stick around. Eventually gets the call that he's free to get off the payload and actually looks at PG now. A nice little sleep, though, will be bad for him as NRG Shock turn tail and just absolutely destroy Cuffer. A Pulse Pop's going to settle the score, at least for the time being, onto Rack Attack, but it's now only tap on the points. A rallying Brig is going to not survive too much longer. A Nano Boost onto Kellen will seal the deal as NRG Shock full hold Citrus Nightmare and find themselves in match point.
Kellen is incredible. He had no supports when he had to basically 1v5, including a Kuffa with a rallied and also nanoed Lucamino, I believe. So Kuffa had all the resources and still took the L to Kellen, who just has incredible Winston mechanics with the Primal, knows how to juggle everybody in these corners. And I mean, NRG could have even won sooner if they would have just stayed on the cart. But yeah, NRG woke up, started to take things a lot more seriously. This is the NRG form we're more used to seeing. And to beat Citrus Nation on their best map is a tough one for Citrus to come back
Yeah,
from.
we spoke about at the very top of the map, right? That Citrus had such a good game against Rad X Avidity. They ended up taking them here because they thought, hey, maybe our dive game is a little bit stronger, but Kellen showing up in a big way, and even PGE too, having so many crucial headshots. A classic kind of Widow back and forth where Chronic goes on fire a little bit, and then PGE, but it really was Kellen all at the very end, and Ultraviolet too hitting some unbelievable nades. I think UV, especially even looking at his Overwatch League career as well, just an incredibly consistent player, has always shown up in a big way and has never really, I don't want to say he's never had a bad day. I think all players have bad days, but his consistency is something that makes him such a good player, especially for this team. And look, PG and Tree, fantastic DPS, and it feels like we speak about them all the time, but you know what makes a good team? A strong, solid, capable backline. That's what NRG have.
Yeah, and Ultraviolet, what he was known for back in the day was his Zenyatta. And you saw how he's like finishing off PGE's like body shots, like just fragging Chronic with headshots with the Zen orbs of all things. But eventually you had to get off of this to have something more peel heavy, I guess. And NRG were caught a bit off guard with a weird tempo using the Hammond. It's easier to tempo with a Hammond on control when it's a lot smaller and you don't have as many time differences between when your Hammond can engage and when the rest of the team can. And as soon as Kellen went back to the Winston, it was way better.
It was just lights out from there on out. Citrus Nation with 55 deaths. I believe that was to 39. Very scrappy game, but you also expect high deaths when you've got Widowmakers in the lobby as well. So not too much of a shock there. Citrus Nation one map away from getting eliminated here. As NRG Shock potentially just 3-0ing them and moving through that lower bracket.
And that's a heartbreaker for Citrus Nation, who have had really good peaks. Like in Stage 2, they got top 4 with a very similar roster core, but you imagine meeting NRG Shock in your first lower bracket match. Like NRG Toronto shouldn't have even happened if it wasn't for NRG getting second seed in their group and getting upset by fluffy Dreamland. Realistically, NRG and Toronto should have been on opposite sides of the bracket, and maybe Citrus wouldn't have had the, you know, number 1, number 2 team against them. So this is, and then you already kind of lost your game 5 against Rad, so I feel really bad for Citrus just going up against Hell right now.
Some things are just not up to you. Unfortunately, fate works in mysterious ways, and you end up here in a situation where you have to face against NRG Shock, who just lost 3-0 against Toronto Defiant. And a couple of maps are a little bit closer, especially that first control map versus the two teams. Right, let's have a look at the map pool. Here we go. Hybrids, Clash/Flashpoint, of course, and Push still available. This will be, of course, Citrus Nation's chance to choose. So where do you think we're going to go?
It's tough. They've chosen Hanaoka, they've chosen Esperanza, but they start to lose at the end of the series when they give up hope. So I really hope that Citrus Nation can have a bit of fun from that last Gibraltar, like how well Chronic did against PGE, to just how close Kuffa and Kellen were when they were on the Winston, even how Kuffa was doing better when he went up against Kellen's Hammond, and how more organized Citrus looked. So I hope that, I know it's tough to lose and players want to be number 1, but I hope Citrus can take that Gibraltar loss in stride, because that was very, very close. But it seems they may want to bring Zeb into the lineup for some Orisa. I'm not confirming that roster change, but I think Orisa would be a lot stronger of a look for Citrus if they went with Zeb, especially on King's Row.
I mean, potentially we see attack here as well. Straying away from Kellen. So we'll get the roster substitutions in just a minute as we jump to King's Row. So, yeah, I would expect Zeb and attack to come in. I mean, Orisa is going to be the name of the game here. You know, you'd love to play a little bit of Winston, a little bit of Dai, a very classic kind of comp. But I think Winston is just, Orisa right now is just way too strong. Going to be more like meta compositions. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see the Zen again. I know, it's pretty sad, but Zen, just not that good, especially on these maps.
Hey, you never know. I mean, on defense, I don't hate it.
It would be cool. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't put it past UV at this point, but there's a lot of like very clear maps that they want to play it on, Gibraltar being one of them, and then Ruins as well, where you can just play super far back and there's lots of long sight lines. It is possible though. I won't argue with that.
And not as many substitutions from the NRG side, really sticking to the PGE Tree duo, where usually we see more interchange with Scissors coming in, which mostly just owning the Tracer. But I think NRG are more preferring PGE and Tree's flexibility. So if plan A doesn't work out, they actually have a solid plan B. Citrus, I mean, they tried Doomed, and the Genji did not work out. That got shut down quite promptly. So I think they much believe in Tapped and Chronic to keep going.
Well, King's Row, Citrus Nation, hopefully not making their last stand. We'll see if we get some more maps out of this series. NRG Shock just want to close this one out, though. Just get another match in the books and move through that lower bracket. Of course, this was Citrus Nation's map pick as well. So they're going to have a game plan as we load in, and we'll have a look at the rosters, see if any substitutions were made. And, well, you're not wrong, Lemon. Zeb's coming in. Going to play the Ramatra or maybe the Orisa here. And NRG Shock also making the sub for attack. So Kellen is riding the bench for this one.
And Doomed coming in for the Pharah is interesting. That's one of his like pocket picks. And NRG is a team, especially with Tree, that like to play the Pharah. So maybe you're expecting a Pharah mirror there, where NRG did play the Pharah, I believe, with Tree against Toronto just now. Not that Citrus got to watch that tape because they were also playing at the same time. But keep an eye on how NRG are going to hope to counter this Pharah without one of their own. And that's PGE who's going to play at that back window, see if he's going to be accessible by someone, really just anyone from Citrus.
All right, Chronic. Probably not staying on the Widowmaker too long, although we saw a little bit earlier. No? Okay, over to the Ashe. So Ashe Pharah with a... We are seeing a Zen, but it's neutral, not UV. Again, a very aggressive backline. A lot of damage. Not as much like defensive power as the Brig brings. So your Juno is going to be a little bit more vulnerable to any sort of flank from a Tracer.
Yeah, I worry what Citrus's plan B is going to be, because I think Tracer is so important for payload maps to kind of escort that through, get flanks going, and does Doomed have a good enough Tracer where Citrus usually like Tab for that? That's their best player by far, and Chronic may have a Tracer in his back pocket, but mostly known for his ranged hit scan, but Citrus still got a tick out of that first engagement, so not bad.
Well, Spears being traded there by both Orisas, and I love this position too from attack. Really nice. Kind of prompt Citrus Nation to maybe go through a hotel, and PG is actually the first to fall. Just a three-person push there from a Citrus Nation. It's going to end the Ashe's life pretty quickly. And now Doom has got two different ways to look. Attack is so low. I mean, how many countermeasures does he have left? Maybe doesn't need any, especially with that Juno ult coming through. Ultraviolet taking to the skies and handily dealing with Neutral and Doomed is lit ablaze only briefly before Chronic is also killed off by Tree.
So goofy of Attack to even be there, like way forward on a high ground of all things. But Ultraviolet says it's not an int, it's a strategy if we all commit to this, even with the orbital ray. But now Citrus are firing back.
The battle to end all battles there, and Orisa shooting another Orisa as they're both gold. Luckily for Citrus Nation though, they had a spare ray to back them up with. Pulse Bomb connects with Chronic, so another dead member for Citrus Nation, but they are capping the point slowly. Tree triple blinking in to try and get a touch. No recall available. Means that will be a point capture for Citrus Nation.
I guess Doomed, yeah, can continue riding on this fire for a while. I think it's really working out for them, especially with how aggressive Zeb is. Like, you just got subbed in, and he's coming in with a roar, and they're getting stagger kills on NRG too. This could get Citrus not only through the choke, but maybe around Library. Depends on how many people they stack, but this has been a great start for Citrus so far. Now with a Transcendence, you can deal with Terror Surge, Bob. You can have a free disengage with this Transcendence and a better sustained fight.
Yeah, the Transcendence is going to be quite nice against this Terror Surge, I must say. That's taking so much poke damage already. It's the problem with the fire. You just take so much damage, like, on the entry. That bomb isn't going to last long either with a Discord Orb, but still, space reclaimed from NRG.
Yeah, that Bob was way too early from PGE. Like, Citrus were already running back, and that's a wasted ult from NRG. And now they can rally on through to get some stuns on Citrus coming through choke.
Need those blinks anyway, we're all good. Transcendence comes in, but already Doomed and Lucamino are down. This rally from Rack Attack is going to see them through this fight without losing a single casualty. All right, nice start from NRG Shock. Is Neutral going to switch off the Zen is my question here. Obviously, is a little bit on his lonesome right now, but we'll see if the Chopper does end up coming through to a Brig or if they just want to continue this high damage comp.
Yeah, Doom's mechanics have been really good on the Pharah, but kind of needing these power positions to be owned and for your team to be on the same page of really getting to that top window. And we saw how good NRG was, and even Toronto was playing with the Pharah, so we'll see if the Genji's going to work out. That was risky for them to do on Ruins, and Citrus will get through the choke.
Yeah, Bob ends up getting deployed, but here comes the Orbital Ray. Here comes the second one. Oh, Bob. Bob is going to be pounding in that ultimate. Look at him go. Picks up attack. I mean, it's just Shock just fell over there. Yeah, the game plan. Hey, we'll use our, do you know what, right? We'll use the Ray, we'll flood out of the pub, hopefully get a pick. But the return Ray from Lucamino, and with the help of the Bob, just, they got decimated.
Citrus got to be ready to ditch if PGE's Bob comes out. Now you wasted all your ults for the halfway point. Terra Surge aggro play out of Zeb.
Yeah, gets grabbed in though. Got booped a little bit there as well, so was around the corner without any support. Now has to use all CDs to get out of that fight. Couple of meters to go now before Citrus Nation do lock this payload in, but attack's going to be cool, just kind of vibing by this point at the moment in time. Tree on the Genji comes back as enough the Tracer as the Bob has been deployed. PGE kind of slicing this team fight in half, making Citrus Nation choose if they want to just continue, maybe kill the Bob or just back off. And it looks like they're going to choose the latter.
Rally from neutral, popped immediately as soon as he gets it, but how do they deal with the Terror Surge from attack? And Doom was behind them with Blade.
Yeah, with the Blade. Gets grabbed in though. Doom was going down to those little torpedoes from Ultraviolet. Attack needs some serious medical attention. Unfortunately, gets brought down by Zep. Citrus Nation. Yeah, with a nice little Terror Surge and a Blade. I mean, as soon as one of your backliners, one of your supports dies, it's very tough to stay in these fights where there's a lot of damage in a very, very close quarters. All right, 2.5 minutes. Not a bad time, Mike, moving into third, but Kings Row third. Very tough to cap, to be fair. So I expect an OT finish unless they can find a clean fight.
Ooh, PG has to be careful with Doomed on that top platform, and Tree has to make sure that that power position is denied from Citrus to give PG an easier time. You can take a breath, but look how aggressive NRG are. They're going to catch Chronic here, who's way too forward.
Taking pop shots right now. Here comes the rally from Rack Attack. Using that Ray to its full effect. You can see they've chased Citrus Nation off of their own Ray. It's kind of a nice combo of ultimates when you think about it, right? You end up popping the Ray to match the enemy's Ray, and then you pop the rally, hold shield until everybody gets a little bit healthier, and you the same. Then you can push forward with the health advantage, and the enemy team just loses their Ray because it just ends up moving away from them, and they can't fight into the rally.
Rack also stunned multiple people with the rally bash. We are gonna get a pause. So he's not even in this game.
He's not, but Arms W nonetheless. All right, we're back in. Don't worry. Enough waffling here from the both of us as we see Citrus Nation with only 1 minute and 20 seconds to go on their attempt to cap this point 3.
Yeah, watch for how Chronic is going to place this Bob. If he can place it behind, maybe get Rack and Ultraviolet distanced away from the front line. Attack is very aggressive, so splitting up the heals would be key for someone like Chronic.
Here come the Bob. Sights have been popped as well. I like that timing from PG there. As you know, they're going to want to step up with this bomb. Doomed paying swift attention to PG, receives a pack, however, from Rack Attack to stay alive. A grapple shot ends up going a little bit wide as Doom pops the reflect. And now everybody should be rather scared of PG because he's going to line you up and knock you down. Neutral falls first as a quick coach got up onto the high ground from Chronic. He's going to make swift work of PG, but Rack Attack's there with the backup.
Yeah, NRG dealt with Chronic's bot very well. They all backed off and shot at the bot, but Citrus didn't do anything with this window of opportunity. They just kind of pushed the card. I would have liked to see Zeb get more aggressive with Doom, go for Terror Surge, go for really any ultimate, and now it's all up to these last 20 seconds to see how far Citrus can get.
Well, here come the Rays. Chronic's already taken down PG. Terror Surges have been used as well, right on top of each other. Neutral in the wrong place at the wrong time. Straight in the middle of attack there, and the rest of the gang. Chronic on what you would consider a nice angle, but not when there's a Ray happening as well. Looks like both supports of NRG Shock are just trying to take down the Widow, get some revenge for killing PG a little bit earlier on. I mean, that is a backline to be feared. A rallying brig with a Juno flying around. Nothing you could do against that, unfortunately, Citrus Nation. Even this rally is not going to help you. And there it is. That is where the payload will end on their push.
Not the worst push, not the best push. Halfway to C is definitely doable for Citrus, but you're going up against the #2 team in North America who I think could cap King's Row in their sleep. I think Citrus did a good job of trying to punish these over-aggressive angles. Like, think about attack on the high ground of NRG, and then he gets backed up by Ultraviolet with the orbital raid. Like, NRG are being silly, but they're getting away with it. And I think Citrus are doing the right things in the moment of what they're given, but not exactly supporting each other the same way NRG are supporting themselves. So, still, like I said, a good push out of Citrus. Wondering if Doom's going to stick to the Pharah, though, or the Genji, because that's been sort of the make or break for me when it comes to Citrus.
I wonder if NRG are going to roll out with anything different on the attack. I can't imagine so, but a boy can dream. Looks like Citrus also, they're heavily sticking with the Zen, really liking neutral on this pick. A lot of straightaways, obviously, for the Zen, but especially holding this first point. If the Zen is basically free on this high ground, it can be very tough for NRG Shock to kind of run into them. It does require, like, at least a decent bit of dive or someone just getting a couple of pop shots on the Zen. Because as soon as the Orisa kind of steps up on this high ground, you get discorded and you're just going to get instantly focused. And there's not too many angles in which you can miss, right? You're just kind of walking down a small corridor. So it can be quite tough for the attacking Orisa into the Zen if they don't get dealt with.
Yeah, I hope Neutral keeps the orb on Doomed, because the beauty of running a brig is that you get to just pack at a distance, and Doom doesn't have to worry about packs as much. So, but then you also have to keep Chronic up from the random shots he's going to take from PGE.
All right, we'll see where NRG Shock plant themselves. Looks like attack kind of doing a default Orisa rotation up onto this high ground. No spear connection. Would have loved to spear Lucamino, but we'll settle with the Zeb, I suppose. Got to save these CDs for the final moments. It's attack. Yeah, it's just going to be a small fight in this corridor for the time being, but it's actually neutral that starts off the fight pretty strong. As PG down, same with UV. Any killers?
Attack only sees one thing, and it's the other Orisa. Yeah. And the rest of his team died. And Attack was doing crazy good damage. He had all those Citrus where he wanted them, but then Citrus peeked through the windows and just shoot at NRG's backline and DPS. So it looked good for NRG at the start.
Okay, a very different look now. Attack on the Diva. This is going to make the Zen's life a living hell, especially with the Genji too.
Not as fun in these long sustained fights, and Orisa can hold space a lot better. As soon as NRG even look at the point, Zeb can just sit on it, and it's going to be so tough to kill him.
They found the Zeb.
Attack can't sustain it. That Matrix only lasts for so long.
Yeah, that was a good speed ring there too from Lucamino, getting neutral out of there. A tick acquired from NRG Shock, however, so it wasn't all for naught, and they're still in this fight too. They have high ground control right now with Tree up there with Ultraviolet. Good spear onto PGE. Okay, that might have done it though. Yeah, that's done it for sure. They forced Transcendence, I suppose.
I don't even know why they swapped to the Diva. The first fight was only lost because you were kind of just playing from front to back, and and Citrus kind of got lucky with these shots into your backline. I think NRG could have tried this Orisa again, because this D.Va is going to have a hard time. Yes, it can access the high ground, but it can't sustain. It doesn't have the same kit as Orisa does to protect itself against damage.
All right, Orbital Ray and Blade. The Blade Ray. Zeb has to get out of there. Spear, Spin, and Fortify already used. Ultraviolet setting this one up. Yeah, there it is. Orbital Ray's coming in. Same with Lucaminos. Terra Surge also launched in, and here comes the Blade from Doomed. Reset after reset. PG and Tree instantly killed. Almost at exactly the same time too. A minute and 30 to go for NRG Shock. They saved 2 DPS ults. But that's about it, and attack is getting staggered as well, which is not great. That's going to be about a minute left before attack ends up spawning and getting position again.
Lucamita could have popped that orbital ray way faster. He had it while Zeb was half HP in a hotel, and I was like, any point now, boys, like any point. And Citrus, yeah, they go for the retake, but they gave up a tick because of that hesitation. So, but this is only a minute, and NRG have to put everything in the tree basket for this Blade.
All right, Bob, they're trying to take down PG as fast as possible. Attack are very acutely aware of the position now of Chronic, and everybody has made their way up to this small choke point. Bob is going to deplete in a couple of moments. As the High Noon is used for space, no one peeked their little head out. Gonna get it blown off. All right, there it is. High Noon drawn, no kills, but here comes the Blade, straight into the back. Tree instantly dispatching with Doomed. 1/2 kills, Chronic neutral down, 4 kills for Tree. He does it once and he does it again. Absolute monster on the Genji. If you can do that against Toronto Defiant, you're doing that against every team in the North American region, that is for sure. Beautiful stuff.
Yeah, if Citrus don't play close to Zeb, these DPS, these supports, everyone but Zeb on Citrus will be opened up by Tree and these Blades. Like, he converted so much because there's really nothing to stop a Genji besides if Chronic can get some good shots in, but he needs space to operate. And NRG still, for them to take until the last minute to cap is extremely concerning. Now you're playing D.Va against a very narrow point, and D.Va does not play well front to back. D.Va wants to ignore the Orisa, and we'll see if Attack can do that.
Good presence of mind there from Doom, checking the subway. Uh-oh, straight over the top. Looking for somebody, looking for the supports right now, just getting bullied by the Orisa currently. Shoved away by that spear spin. Here comes the orbital ray. Doomed in a very sticky spot. Was safe a moment ago because that transcendence, but as soon as that faded away, I mean, Ultraviolet says, sure, you're on top of us. Now we have double damage. An easy fight win here for NRG Shock as they move on forward. For Citrus Nation, on the other hand, though, they've got Blade, they've got Orbital Ray, and they've got the Terra Surge. This is going to be a tough fight for NRG to win, and they know it.
Citrus are just not aggressive enough. Like, you have Transcendence and Doomed is frontlining. Like, why is Zeb not the first one to be galloping up in there? So NRG, 90 seconds. D.Va Bomb's going to give them a second chance. It's also a very open area if he can place the bomb at the T zone, but that would be a risk of NRG to take. But the neutral is currently being won by Citrus.
Yeah, I mean, PG's already dead. A 4v5 now. Citrus Nation in control of this one, you'd imagine. Yeah, Rack Attack going down, and that is a very good fight for Citrus to win. They didn't need a single ultimate, and now there's only 60 seconds left for NRG Shock.
Oh boy, and NRG at least being able to scrap through that have built up towards those important ultimates, so keep an eye on this Deadeye, but as soon as you round this corner, you could eat a spear to the face, so PG has to be careful of how he approaches that, because the D.Va can't really hold space well, so the NRG have to bounce around that tempo, and it'll be up to a Tree, maybe 5k Blade again, depending on if they can peel Zeb away from the rest of his team. He can be sometimes distinct from the team.
I really like this play. Going on for the high ground. Oh, the skull appeared for a brief second there for PGE. Tree needs this Blade, and he needs it now. 3% away as the Bob is deployed. Rally as well from Rack Attack's going to hold down the fort for at least the time being, and now Bob is in the Ray. Oh, dearie me. PGE dead, and Tree's Blade's going to have to be the difference maker, but Doom's already pulled his. It's getting deflected for the time being, but a nice little right-click into the head of Tree is going to send him recoiling. He does end up joining the fight again, but the OT's already ticking down. Zeb with a Terra Surge. Is it going to make NRG Shock's life any way easier as they end up holding them on the second point and claiming their first map in the series?
The brain plays coming out of these two Genjis. First to just Doom just cracked open Tree there, of just thought that Tree could blade him, and then Doom got Mega and escaped, and Tree wasted his blade, and just what the heck. And then you have, what's his face, the Diva attack, just diving the backline, trying to do as much as he can, but then you have an Orisa that's let loose, who is gonna be very much more lethal, stomping their way through than a Diva can. So tough matchup there for sure.
Yeah, a bit of a different look too. Then bringing in attack, subbing out Kellen, and switching to the Diva halfway through that map, and it just didn't end up working out. Citrus Nation, chance to reverse sweep, maybe? Or is this their one, potentially?
Who knows, Jack? Who knows? We'll find out very soon. What are we giggling about here, John?
Well, I feel like it was just a couple of stages ago where like all Citrus heads and we were all rooting for Citrus
just
Nation.
happened.
And I don't know, they just bring the vibe like every main event. So like they could have easily been swept 3-0 here in the lower bracket, but to take one map and you're like, start or something.
Well, but this is a rematch, right? I mean, if we watched what they've both done in the group stage, Citrus had the upper hand there, so it's not crazy to assume they can turn the tide.
Yeah, I mean, NRG Shock, they took the loss to Fluffy Dreamland in that scenario. So that was, again, it was a different meta, like uphill battle, but like, it's a new meta and they're looking way better. I think in this one, you gotta give credit to Citrus Nation, who had TSM in their group, if I remember correctly, Group D. But, I mean, this is like their go-to, their bread and butter. Like, this is what they've been so good on for the entire year, pretty much, Jake.
Yeah, I think the Zen was actually a great look as well from Neutral, who's super comfortable and experienced in the hero. And I think it's actually a pretty smart look on King's Row. You really force the other team to get really aggressive, to dive you. You know, attack goes to the Diva. You can sometimes cut down the Zen, right? If you find the connection through, you find that window to punish him without ultimate. But I think it's forcing this very aggressive style, forcing a lot of maybe unforced errors out of NRG because there's just so much pressure being put down on the field. And then you're in this spot where you're playing Diva into Orisa. Zeb's able to have a lot of impact as well. So it's a good meta for Citrus. I don't think they are pushovers by any means. If anything, it's just a testament to NRG's skill that they are up 2-1 here in the series with back-to-back map picks for their chance to close it out. So this is a pretty tough climb for Citrus.
All right, looking at the map picks coming up then, where do we want to take it? Is there a map where you actually feel like that is going to give them the dub, or is everything out in the open given what we've seen from both of these teams composition-wise?
Stylistically, they've been really similar, right? I don't think there's not been too much daylight between them in terms of like which hero preference they have. So honestly, I think these map picks, if I'm NRG, I'm just going like where I feel good. I'm not trying to like shut down any weirdness coming out of Citrus. They haven't been playing these like crazy ball strats that we've been accustomed to associating with them. So it's more about, for me, it's just NRG, like where can we play really well? What's confident for us? Maybe like which look do we want to bring? Or is there a strat we want to hide? Maybe we pick a map like Clash, maybe something we haven't seen yet.
I don't think we're gonna see Clash. It really seems like a hot take if you pick Clash. Yeah, because
you're trying to throw a wrench in the series picking Clash.
Yeah, and especially because it's a pretty volatile mode. Like, you know, you can find yourself in some pretty awkward scenarios where like, oh, you messed up like an ultimate and suddenly the opponent, they get 2 easy points because they have superior ultimate advantage. It is a bit volatile of a game mode. So if you're the better team like NRG, like you're just better off going to like a push map or something like that, because that's usually going to tell who the better team is.
Something with just more practice involved, right? Like more experience.
I mean, you don't know. Maybe they've been streaming on Clash all day, every day. We don't know. We will see it eventually. Surely, someone has to pick it. No, okay.
We've seen it a lot.
Well, you know, was it Vendetta? Vendetta picked it earlier today, right?
I literally forgot about that. Alas, it's been
it was over pretty quickly, but they tried.
It's a lot.
It was like 5-1, 5-2 or something.
That's right. Now as we're gearing up for, the end of our day, we still have, of course, one more series to come after this one. I also want to remind everyone watching, hello over there, that season 12 is live right now. So make sure to, grind through your battle pass.
Less than a week on Tuesday, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Wait,
I'm like
not live right now.
90% sure season 13 is live. Well, no, this is season 12 is live.
I can't read it. My eyesight is not so good.
Season 12 is live for like 5 more days.
Now. Okay. I guess that was my point.
Did you get the elite drive, Johnny? That's what I want to know. Did you get the last tag?
I did get the elite drive. Yeah,
Let's
I
go,
did.
Baby.
Yeah.
Prestige.
So then I can get the level 2 drive when the next one comes.
You guys have entirely too much.
That is so true. And I
didn't complete my battle pass, because I think the last title is like Pharaoh.
Wait. Like you're talking like the level 500 completion. I've never.
No, that's like level 200.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
That's like.
But I got to like, I think I'm at like 150, which
That's
is like Descendant of Ra or something like that. But
you're not the Pharaoh. All
Pharaoh,
right?
yeah, I wanted the Pharaoh, so
Not
you know.
Pharaoh. Why are we even talking?
I think that's like a title.
Yeah, I don't know. That kind of.
That would kind of go hard to have Pharaoh
How
reinforced.
many hours do you have to
hard.
put into that?
It's massive. I mean, to get them, those are like level 500 battle pass. I think it's
You
wild.
need to do like the challenges too, and it's like when the game was like, hey, you need to play like, you could get, you know, I don't know, 50,000, 100,000 experience if you do like 150
sport.
arcade games. I'm like,
Please
no,
play
I don't want to
arcade.
do 150 arcade games.
Are you
I'm gonna play
sure?
like,
Are you
oh, you
sure
got
about
queue
that?
all roles for the challenge points, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna queue tank because I don't want to play diamond DPS games. So.
It is
Well,
what it is,
anyway,
Bobby.
that was a
Energy.
tangent of
Energy picking
sorts.
Runasapi. No, that's good. I pay you to waffle, and waffling you did. Now, Energy finally, you know, revealed their map pick, finding ourselves on Runasapi, on push. How are we feeling about this?
I mean, a lot of power to the hit scans on this map. Opportunity for PGE to shine, and I think Tree continuing with that Genji take the game by storm.
Well, let's see if they can close it out, or if Citrus is in the process of tying up the series. Let's send it back over to Jen and Jack.
Yippee! Thanks, Zoe. Yippee! I knew someone was going to let out yippee today. Jacob subbing in for neutral here as we go to Runasapi, Jen.
I think this is a solid pick. You see this pretty often out of NRG. They won this, I think, against Fluffy Dreamland 93-88, and then they lost this to Toronto, which very good performance, 144 to 117. So I think this is a confident map for NRG to close things out on, and you go to an Orisa map, but for some reason, NRG don't seem as confident on the Orisa. Maybe the break between maps has kind of reset them because they got off of Orisa super fast on King's Row, which led to their downfall.
All right. The gates go down, and both team comps rolling out. One small difference here, just the Ashe versus the Cassidy. See if Citrus Nation can come back. Reverse sweep starts now with that King's Row victory. We'll see if they can maybe put a spanner in the works of NRG Shock's ride through this lower bracket. Attack taking quite a forward position here, although using that speed ring, Citrus Nation can try and take them over. Well, I say try, it's an Orisa versus an Orisa duel, so both are going to go golden at some point and then not die, so it's going to be someone else. It's going to be up to someone else to get a kill. Attack going pretty low, though, in the end of it all, as Doom just completely undisturbed in the backline. Oh, Chronic lands some filthy headshots on UV and PG.
Yeah, the 1-2 punch, and yeah, just to correct myself, the NRG actually lost this to Fluffy Dreamland on Runasapi, but it's still, they always play close to any team. They try to punch up, and it's kind of like what the desk said, a battle of the hit scans of PGE versus Chronic, where how you deal with that Deadeye, how you deal with the Bob is pivotal. So the Bob, it's more macro-based how you deal with it. The Deadeye, you have a lot of options, the deflect, the javelin spin, but see how this goes.
Okay, well, the Ray is going to be quite useful, especially on this point. Lucamino, 10% ahead of the UV right now. And here it comes. Oh, dearie me. Ultraviolet does not want to be there, and neither do the rest of NRG Shock right now. They're doing a good job of scurrying for cover as Ultraviolet's Ray comes online just in time. But Blade's already been pulled from Doomed, instantly taking down Tree. And Rack Attack just being bodyguard to Ultraviolet, and eventually that Ray does end up fading away. As Citrus Nation, they lose both of their DPS as NRG Shock end up getting that bot.
The Doom like miss his dash and get chonked by the ultraviolet orbital ray, like a bit awkward there, but I think Doomed is starting to find his stride. But Tree does seem like the better Blade user, just based on how he was able to find those moments where Zeb is separated away from the flock. So keep an eye on Tree and how Rack Attack is going to want to support him.
Rallies, oh, and Doomed gets blamed there by PG. A swift kill with the Deadeye, and a couple of nice shots to follow that one up as well. Jacob's rally just not being as effective as they wanted it to be. I mean, NRG Shock are in a good spot as well. They're going to round this corner. They've got Terror Surge. They've got Blade. It's up to Zeb here. Can he pull in Tree, and can they just explode him before he gets it off? Because Tree's blades over the last couple of series, Jen, they have just been undeniably beautiful.
And yeah, absolutely. And for PGE to pretty much win them a fight with just a Deadeye, just punishing Citrus for being out in the open. If you ult track Deadeye, you need to be close to cover. You need to keep those important cooldowns. And PGE finds that moment to strike them down. Pretty decent lead. We'll see how this Bob can maybe catch Rack Attack. And yeah, he's dealt with.
It's a really nice Rack Attack there, was just hugging the payload, but Zeb using the cooldowns perfectly to push the Brig to exactly where he wanted them to be. And that Bob separated the fight. Good team kill from Citrus Nation. NRG Shock, they hold on to their ultimates, but Citrus Nation, they use Bob, and that's it. So you take that 9 times out of 10, and you don't even give them checkpoint either. So now it's your chance to win this fight and grab the checkpoint for yourselves.
Yeah, Deadeye fight win, and then it's turned around by Chronic's Bob fight win. Still waiting for that Tree Blade, but it's about quality when it comes to a player like Tree, and he's been such an excellent Genji player. Citrus are all grouped up, and it's the Orbital Ray that it's probably going to kick things off, and then what's left is how Tree is going to bring out this Blade.
It's much easier to find cover here if you're Citrus Nation, so they're more than happy to kind of hold on this high ground. Both Rays have been popped. Tree's going to use that Blade. Terror Surge coming in. PG with the ult too. Okay, everybody click Q at once. Kills will come soon, sooner rather than later. Deadeye kills, Blade kills, we'll take it all. NRG Shock come up with the goods. There's the team kill. And the bot is going to get moving in their favor, and they're going to get a checkpoint off it as well.
This with all the sound cues happening at once. You don't hear the cowboy man whistling, walking down menacingly with the Deadeye. Like, PGE's finding these perfect times to pop the Deadeye, where Doom doesn't have deflect or doesn't deflect in time. Zeb doesn't have javelin spin. I don't know, but NRG are getting way more value out of Deadeye than they should.
Yeah, you aren't actually wrong. Like, the amount of sounds and abilities that was going off, like, there's like, you aren't picking that one out of the crowd. Yeah, there's no way. There's no way. All right, Doom gets headied by a PG. Really like this off angle from the Castile when Ashes take it. Blade's been popped, and that is one very sad Blade. Doom sub 100 HP, easily taken out by Ultraviolet. Yeah, it's just the normal Blade versus the Magnetic Grenade or the Stun Grenade and the Rally. I would take the Stun Grenade every single time. That's 70 plus meters now for NRG Shock as they move up this hill. Citrus Nation not finding anything with that ult. They got a Rally to back them up with in this next fight, Lemon, but that's about it.
Ult tracking an issue for Citrus, like to Dragon Blade right into a Brig that you know has Rally. Very tough, especially with the stun. Doom not able to convert as much as Tree, but also NRG like to pop all their ults at once. So maybe Citrus can do something here with this Rally if they can catch PGE, who is pretty close, but there's the Orbital Ray re-engage.
Get out of there, my son. Attack under a lot of duress right now, but that orbital ray is just so powerful. Citrus Nation just need to hold on. They got 5% towards their own. They're using that overheal from the Rally to quite full effect there as Zeb handily deals with Tree and Rack Attack. Chronic putting in a large amount of damage too. Meterage gain from NRG off of that, but no immediate fight win, which is what you come to expect when a Juno uses that Rally. Ooh, it looked like Attack was on ice skates there.
Still a very close map though. Like, NRG aren't riding a ton of momentum. It's pretty back and forth trades, and means that Citrus is a pretty tough opponent. And NRG are in the lower bracket. And yes, they're up in a bunch of circuit points, but can't afford to drop this map against Citrus. Here's Orbital Ray though from Lumino.
Yeah, we see if Citrus can do them one better. PG already down, and Zeb putting himself in that doorway so that all the retreats covered as Citrus Nation just tear NRG apart. They have lost Jacob, which is a bit of a shame, and they've actually lost Lucamino too. Hang on just a moment. Wait, what? How has Attack managed to find 3? I'm sorry. I didn't know you like that.
Yeah, how does just an Orisa... It's just been both these Orisas trying to just go past each other and kill the rest of the team, and this time it's Attack on top.
You expect Citrus Nation to just kind of run away with that. That was an Orbital Ray fight. An Attack is standing his ground as NRG continue to hold the lead, of course, 95 to 63 currently.
And with how, Overwatch armor works, it's going to negate a lot of that damage from the Genji shurikens. You have to focus down this Orisa and really try to bring that armor down as fast as you can, and really direct your attention to that Orisa once the armor is blown. So, tough one for Doom, looking for a Blade.
Attack, my goat. Terror Surge in the back line. Just give him more kills. That spear goes a little bit wide, but good luck hitting a Juno when she used that shift. This is a good look for NRG Shock right now, going with 4 ultimates into the next fight. 2 minutes to go. Citrus Nation 30 meters behind them.
Yeah, Attack is getting away with just pummeling the rest of the team, and Zeb's trying to do the same thing, but Ultraviolet and Rack Attack seem like a more organized backline that can buy a lot of time and really negate a lot of Zeb's damage. So I think Zeb may have to redirect his attention towards Attack when he does just be overly aggressive like that. It's not an unreachable point for Citrus being only down 32 meters, but Orbital Ray now first for Ultraviolet is an important edge over Lupino.
Oh, sneaky beaky like. Oh, Jacob with the longest stun I've ever seen on a brick. Manages to connect with PG. Blade pull from Dunes, but he's just getting absolutely dominated in that small room. But luckily for him, the backup from Jacob. Another double stun from the brick. Sets Doom up with a whole lot of kills, and there was a whole lot of damage from Chronic on top. NRG Shock still with a decent lead, Jen, but they all spawn at the same time, so they're going to get a decent neutral fight here near the mid.
Great just proactivity from Jacob, who swung the fight in their favor. Ultraviolet, he should have orbital raid way faster, but the break was a problem.
What a spear spin there from Zeb, isolating the first members of NRG Shock to peek their head through that door. Luckily though, Tree comes up with the damage. The blade in the Ray is good for a couple. 60 seconds now to go. Citrus Nation, their time quickly running out to continue this series.
Yeah, this tug of war is being eventually won by NRG. So even if I'm like, oh, Ultraviolet just took too long to use his ult and they lost the fight because of it, they win the next one using that orbital ray. And they're still, NRG are still up by 32 meters. So as long as this keeps being a tug of war, back and forth affair, Citrus need progress in order to win. And NRG are just not letting them win back-to-back fights.
Forward spawns too for NRG Shock. Citrus Nation need a miracle comeback right now, and you've got to keep Attack off of this high ground too. I mean, look, he's going to Terror Surge everybody here. Grabs pretty much everybody back in. That's a whole lot of damage, and Chronic's in trouble. Use that roll to get away, but look who's also in the mix. It's Tree. Attack now holding down this payload as Tree is dealt with. Attack had to drop to low as Jacob deals with the Genji. They do trade, though, as Jacob falls, but with OT, NRG Shock, even though they lose this fight, they're still in good standing in this map. Quite a team kill, but it'll do. Citrus Nation now have to be perfect to send us to a map 4.
What else does Attack need to do? He pulled all 5 and Tree was a little bit too static. He should have dashed in, and Chronic tumbled towards the car by himself and still didn't die. NRG need to close things out. It's taken a little bit too long. OT, it only takes 1 fight win for NRG to move on.
We got to play the Terror Surge. They're in a decent spot. Can Doom just take down NRG Shock here? It's all on this blade. Everybody gets dragged in initially and instantly taken out. However, Lucamino still comes up with a kill. And Chronic just getting like a permanent bodyguard in Jacob too. If PG tries to get an angle on the Cassidy, he's end up shut down. Only a few meters to go now. Is they going to pop a Deadeye super early?
Try and zone them off so that they can get the lead. Like, Citrus, this is very winnable. This is OT. NRG may be choking and falling.
Oh, just in time. There's 1 meter in this one. As the Ray ends up coming out, Jacob needs to stay alive. This rally over health is building up for Citrus Nation as another rally is popped, but an unbelievable bash comes through. NRG Shock, they just stun the world there with Citrus Nation just falling over, and Tree just cuts them to ribbons. Jacob completely isolated away from the rest of the team, and that'll be that. NRG Shock shut down them, and that's a 3-1 series. NRG Shock making their way through that lower bracket, knocked out pretty early by Toronto Defiant, but they're not here to mess around.
That came down to a 1 meter. What? That came down to 1 meter. NRG almost choked. And then they were able to get their orbital raid. Then they were able to blade. And that was almost lost from just kind of these uncharacteristic slip-ups just throughout the series from NRG, from Gibraltar to this. NRG could have closed out just earlier. They just would have been quicker to the punch. And Citrus proved to be a very, very tough opponent. And it's sad to see Citrus go, but at least they went out with such a valiant effort to make one of the toughest teams in North America sweat this hard. I think Citrus Nation should really be happy with how they did.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, that last fight could have come down to microseconds pretty much. The brig bashes on either side, getting multiple people stunned up. I mean, hey, at the end of the day, if Tree's got blade, it's a win. NRG take the series 3-1. Let's jump over to the desk. They can wrap up that series.
Thank you so much, you two. Yeah, Tree out here playing Fruit Ninja on the server, looking good, obviously, while it's doing so, but a valiant effort, as Jen already mentioned, from Citrus Nation throughout the entirety of this season.
Yeah.
I feel like they really put themselves on the map.
They almost clutched that up. Like, you know, they had the back-to-back, they had a Terra Surge with the Dragon Blade, found 2 picks and in a 4 versus 3 scenario, and then got back. Like, pulled the Deadeye a little bit too early. It was a great idea, especially with the body block as well, to block the Javelin coming in from attack to shut it down. But, you know, had the execution just been a little better towards that last fight, maybe you find like a pick with the Deadeye. But it's so hard. It came down to both teams using double support ultimate in the end, and it was just an absolute brawl on the bot.
I got my
That's
wish.
how close it was.
PG and Chronic
You did.
on the Widowmaker.
You got the Widowmaker.
I'm happy. That's all I wanted.
And they delivered. I mean, both were
did.
popping. I think Doom, what really impressed me this series, like I knew Tree would be solid on the Genji, but I think Doom really went toe-to-toe throughout the series, had a lot of good plays, was taking those 1v1s fearlessly. You know, Citrus is a squad that has been just super fun to watch all year. I'm sorry to see them go at this stage here in the bracket because they've become a fan favorite for me personally with a lot of these players. I'm excited to see what they do in the future seasons of OWCS, where they go, because honestly, this is a roster with a lot of individual potential. And I think they were able to showcase a lot of that today. Just maybe a little bit unlucky, right, to face NRG already in the first round of the lower bracket.
Yeah.
But look, there's no easy road to Stockholm here, right? There's 3 slots. You got to be beating some of these top teams to qualify to Stockholm, and that's what certainly NRG are looking to do.
And on that note, I mean, this is a great win for NRG now. They're one step closer to Stockholm. And at this point, with the circuit point leaderboard, they've essentially put themselves in a situation where they're pretty much good outside of like some upset team
Really
coming into beating
cases,
Toronto
yeah.
Defiant, like true edge cases. Because of their circuit points going into this main event and the ones that they've already secured so far, they're not guaranteed, but they are very much on their way to qualify for Stockholm based on the circuit points they've accrued so far.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So a lot of pressure, of course, on that team to perform in their next match as well. But if they can have performances such as what we've seen from PGE today, who's got himself the player of the match honors, then, you know, the road is there. That's not even a saying, but it was good. PGE.
The road was there.
The road was there. I don't know. The words were there and they happened. They came out of my mouth, and heads were clicked by PGE as per usual. What a phenomenal player. I'm just in awe with PGE every single time we see him on the server.
Yeah, honestly, like, it really popped off in Gibraltar.
Yeah, the Widow frags were nasty. The Cassidy looks really strong as well. Really a player who was hard to call as far as the hit scan role. Like a lot of hit scan players, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, they're great at all, but I want to see them on Ashe. I want to see them on Widow. But with PGE, it really is a diversity across those picks. Even the Tracer, solid as well. So, I mean, that's the kind of diversity and range you need to be playing DPS at this level, but PGE delivers.